In Van Wart, Ohio, we don't have any revolutionary battlefields or forts nearby. We're too far to the northwest of Ohio in the former Great Black Swamp, and all that had was malaria until it was drained. There are nearby forts, burial sites, and fort towns that are holdovers of the War of 1812, but nothing direct by way of the Revolution. We do, however, have our namesake, and we have his gun in a box, at least allegedly. Van Wart is a misspelling of Isaac Van Wart, one of the captors of Major Andre, a namesake we share with other metropolises like Van Wart, Iowa. Somewhat humorously, descendants of Van Wart have lobbied the town for years in an effort to rectify the spelling of my town's name, which was taken from a congressional record, a clerical error passed down over centuries. Van Wart, John Paulding, and David Williams are memorialized in what is nearly a neat row of 3 counties, but is broken up by Defiance, one of the many reasons to dislike Defiance County, but I'll spare everyone that bit of local history. Andre was, of course, a co-conspirator of Benedict Arnold for the surrender of West Point, a potentially devastating blow to the Patriots that had been allowed to transpire. Instead, after Andre had met with Benedict Arnold and received insider information on West Point, the 3 militiamen stopped him on his way back to the British, and to their credit asked the right questions and revealed the sensitive documents he had hidden in his boot. You can see him there taking his boot off. Arnold himself was able to escape to British lines. The true traitor got away free, while Major Andre, the spy doing the will of his country, was, well... His captors, including Van Wart, received the first military medals ever awarded by the United States, lifelong pensions, and even farms from New York. All that information is a lot of what is relayed to the children taken to visit the Van Wart County Historical Society. Oh look, that's my place in my car. There it is. I went there when I was a middle schooler and learned about our town's namesake yeoman farmer turned revolutionary, who was perhaps a footnote as an individual, but stopped what could have been a tide-turning event for the British. This musket was kept privately in Van Wart for years, but sold off to some other people who discovered a note in the barrel claiming it was the very same musket that Isaac Van Wart was equipped with when he stopped Major Andre. The musket's certainly period, but I have heard conflicting takes on the legitimacy of the note itself. Even so, I choose to believe it. Anyway, eventually the Historical Society acquired the musket again, where it is now proudly displayed in a case along with some other information and depictions of Van Wart. There's a video online from the Historical Society that actually comes infuriatingly close to filming the musket without actually doing it, so I'm including a still of the musket in the video for the context on its display. The musket itself has been there since 1999. This display the musket is contained within is devoted near exclusively to the war veterans from the county, serving in nearly every war since the nation's founding. The Revolutionary War, of course, is supplemented and represented by Van Wart's musket. Van Wart was a New Yorker, actually, and never stepped foot in Ohio, so perhaps it may seem strange that we so readily accept his legacy merely because we adopted his name. This, I would propose, is because of the contextual factors surrounding said adoption. National identity as Americans and racial identity as a vast majority white, small, rural county allow people from Van Wart to easily identify with Van Wart's musket. That's really difficult to say as somebody who's been saying Van Wart my entire life, by the way. Even though it's one of the only things displayed at the Society's museum that has little or nothing to do with Van Wart the town, either in production or ownership, other than the fact that it happened to be kept in Van Wart until the early 20th century. This site memorializes the great man and events type narrative of revolutionary history, but does it by magnifying a character that never really achieved noted greatness in his lifetime. His legacy is his action, and of that action, he was one of only 3 party members. Van Wart himself also appeals to the local population. He was a self-sustaining farmer and veteran, and certainly many residents and viewers can identify with this. He achieved note in war and then returned to humble obscurity, asking for no more than some land and a pension. In short, he's the archetypal American patriot as far as Americana goes. Just look at this depiction of the capture. The traitorous foreigner Andre is stopped due to the intuition of 3 simple farmers, and thus a crippling attack is averted. Their plain uniform and natural hair starkly contrasts the gentleman's clothing and wig. They're the very picture of patriotic populism. And of course a memorial to this idea would be appealing in a rural county that casted over 10,000 votes for Donald Trump. Combining Van Wart's musket with other military uniforms throughout the ages serves to amplify the patriotic message for a county filled to the brim with retired war veterans. You are him. His war was and is your war. There are visible ties connecting you straight to the heritage of revolution. Even when I was just a middle schooler, I couldn't help but leave the place with that impression. Besides just being the erroneously spelled namesake of both the county and town, Van Wart rather coincidentally also appeals to the people who have come to live in and define the place named for him. That's my county's little piece of revolutionary history and the way we choose to present it. Perhaps the legitimacy of a scrap of paper found inside the barrel of the musket means much less than the founding myth that we use the musket to illustrate. This artifact is used for the people of Van Wart County to in some way claim a revolutionary heritage, perhaps even a founding heritage which majority white communities are often desperate to attain, and contextualize ourselves within the overarching plot of the American story, despite how seemingly irrelevant we are, or Van Wart may have been. Also, Van Wert is a much more appealing name for a town.